Hi everyone, welcome to Stampers Club today. Today we're going to learn how to use blender pens. And we're going to show you by making this card right here. Actually, we're just going to make the elements on the front. You can see the full card on my Wow Card class if you want to. That can be found also at www.stampersclub.com. And I'm going to be using our Bordering on Romance stamp set, a nice outlined stamp set, a little line art. And I'm going to use Stays-On ink. We want to use Stays-On because this is a pigment ink that will dry very, very quickly and also will not run. The color won't run. I'm just going to stamp that up there. The regular water-based ink would tend to take a while to dry. This you can get right next to it right away without having it be wet at all. I'm going to color this image using our classic ink pad. I'm going to start with Baja Breeze, and if you pop that lid open just a little bit and then squeeze the ink pad, you end up with a palette of ink on the inside of the lid, and that's what we're going to work off of. I'm going to take my blender pen and I'm going to grab a little bit of ink and I'm just going to color just as if I was using markers. You get a much softer color than markers, and you don't end up with any of the paper peeling because this isn't watercolor paper. This is just standard Whisper White paper. And a lot of times when you use aqua painter on here or paint with watercolors, sometimes the paper tends to kind of like peel up a little bit. So I'm just going to keep adding some color to this. So you still get a little bit of that watercolor effect without actually using any water. So it's nice and clean. I'm going to add some little dots, color in some of these other little flowers here. I'm starting, and you usually always start with your lighter color, and then we're going to build from there. Let's get some more of this. And there's no, then you just wipe it off, and the color comes right out. Then I'm going to move to the leaves, and again I'm going to do the same thing. Pop that open, squeeze my ink pad, use my little palette of ink right here, and I'm going to color in the leaves. I'm using Pear Pizzazz right here. Just giving it little dots of color here and there. Still, I'm not getting real particular. I like watercoloring to be a little bit on the softer side, something that doesn't really show a lot of color. And again, you just wipe it off and the ink comes right off the blender pen. Then I'm going to come back with a darker blue, Island Indigo. Again, pop it open, squeeze the pad. Got a nice layer of ink on the inside of my lid. And on this, I'm going to actually go right around the image outline to start with here. I love how Stampin' Up's stamps give you that nice dictation of where there would be some added color. So I'm going around everything that came out in the black ink. If you want to learn how to make this whole card that I showed you, you can do that in the class section of my blog, which is www.stampersclub.com. I do a Wow Card class each month. And I'll show you how to do the entire card. It had some real fancy edges on there. I don't know if you noticed that. It had some nice fancy edges. Can you learn how to use those great little edgelets that we now have? And again, I'm just going to add some extra color to parts of this. And I'm not really even paying attention to being inside the lines here. Inside or outside of the line, I guess I should say. Add a little bit. I'm just going to kind of come back in and add some darker in the center here. Every time you go over your image, even with the same color, it will get it darker. Get some shading in here. Get some nice color going. And this kind of pulls the ink also away from where you're going. So it kind of keeps pulling. Not quite as much as it would with watercolor brushes, but it still will pull the ink and get you some nice shading. Again, just wipe your brush out. My blender pen is really, truly, probably 4 or 5 years old. They do last a very long time. They come in a package of 3. I'm going to do the same thing I did with the flowers with the leaves and come back in with a little bit darker ink. My nice little palette there. And I'm just going to kind of add it to right over the black stamped image. A little bit of shading around the edges. I'm also going to hit this this stem here too, color that stem. And just wipe out the edge of the brush. Nice quick technique. Very easy for you ladies that like to go to crops and not take a lot of tools with you. You can actually, if you have our ink spots, you actually can grab some ink right off of here. It will be a little bit darker than it will be from here, but you can still do it that way. So here you go. A nice colored image using a blender pen. So you can basically take any of our inks and turn them into a marker. And this image made this beautiful card with our little edgelets and our nice little ruffled pleated ribbon here. For more information on how to make this card, you can visit my blog at www.stampersclub.com and check out the class section. Thanks for stopping by. Bye now.